Uh-oh. All right, to everybody out there that's watching us via the live stream on YouTube. I was not expecting to go as fast as we did, but that's okay because I got up there without putting our title up, which the title is Racism in the Church, Racism and the Effects of Politics and so on like that. We got a few guests that are on their way right now. We wanted to get the conversation started, and we definitely wanted to get the conversation started as far as the YouTube community is concerned. So those of you that are joining us live on YouTube, welcome to this oh so important talk. I've been in meetings all day long talking about this. And the reason why I've been in meetings all day long is because this is definitely a hot topic because of the and I don't know, and I know there's some people on the panel that will be coming and some people that are here that will be able to speak upon this, because this is what's been happening in our society recently. The emergence of critical race teaching. The importance of critical race teaching has come back up and has become a topic, probably one that our spiritually minded people need to have, probably more so than the world. And the reason why we need to have this conversation more so than the world is because this is the area in which some of us claim to be super spiritual and we're hearing from God. Now, I teach for those of you that are listening and watching on YouTube, I'm a teacher of the Hebrew, the prophetic. So we go into the original forms of the name of God and the Son and so on like that. And it really shouldn't really make that much difference for our talk today. If you use the name Yahuwah, you use the name Yahusha, all that's fine, well and good, but that right there is not doesn't scratch the surface as to the conversation we're going to have. And hopefully some of the people that's going to be joining us here later can give their 2 cents worth in it as far as what's going on. If you are in the United States, because I'm pretty sure there's some people that are probably joining us from various other places, then you know that the question has come up, and that question has been, is America a racist country? Is America a racist country? Well, the truth be told, when we look at the definition of racism, what racism is, and let's go into that. I got Apostle Ruby Red. She's my spiritual coach. That's my cheerleader right there. So y'all have to excuse us because me and her like to get indignant at sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get happy when a point gets out there. So I don't want nobody thinking that we just some loud folk. But we just, we like to get indignant when the word goes forth and the word is correct. One of the and I proudly say one of my mentors that I've followed for many, many years on the issues of race and on the issues of equality in race is Dr. Claude Anderson. He is the author of a book that is very popular in the Black community. That book is called Black Powernomics. Okay, that is a very excellent book that teaches us the economical institution of Black people and how we need to improve our situation to better ourselves on the emotional and spiritual side, because there's a lot of things about the emotional and spiritual side of things that people don't realize or don't understand and have been fed by the fake news. That's one thing that I will give former President Donald Trump a lot of credit for, He said there was fake news, and there's definitely fake news out there. So the fake news has us thinking that racism is one thing when it is a whole nother ball game. So racism is the struggle or the competition of a culture of people that feel that they are superior to other people. A culture of people that feel that they are superior to other people. Thus, they feel threatened by that demographic of people and cause them to be in a race with them, such as the race of money, wealth transfer. So at the end of the day, racism boils down to the exchanging of wealth transfer. Now, I know that a lot of people have heard the comment and a lot of different people's offshoot comments and stuff like that, that a Black person cannot be racist. Well, that is very true in America, and truly throughout the world. That's a very true statement, because in order to be racist, that means that you have to be superior in something. Oh, somebody don't like what I'm saying right now. In order to be racist, that means you have to be superior. And I hate to tell you this, anyone of Afro descent, we've never been superior in nothing. So it's totally impossible for an Afro person to be a racist. It is possible for an Afro person to become what we call prejudice. A prejudiced person means that they do not like the indifference of another person, the hatred of a person, whether it be their culture or the color of their skin. We have many, many prejudiced people in our world today. So that puts me in another conversation, and that conversation is America a racist society? Well, actually, yes. Yeah. When you look at the definition of what racism actually is, yes, America definitely is a racist society, because we do have a superior people in our society that feel like they are better than everyone else and have applied themselves to be superior. They have applied themselves to be superior. And this has caused our society much confusion in definitions. In a couple of meetings that I was in today, we were talking about the differences of what happens on the federal level if the George Floyd Criminal Act is passed in the Senate. What happens with that? Okay. And I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen if they pass it in its entirety. If they pass it in its entirety, then police will no longer have immunity. And a lot of people say, okay, what is immunity and why does that make a difference? Well, immunity is the very thing that law enforcement uses not to be tried on certain cases. That means that there could be a fluke. They're not held responsible. They do not have to be accountable for certain things. And there's a lot of things that go into that immunity category that totally unfair, totally racist in its nature. Representative Clyburn from South Carolina, who is the chairman of the Waynes Committee in the Congress, there was a big article in the New York Times today where he said that if the immunity is taken out of the bill and the bill is passed, we still have a win. And this is where my panel is going to come into play, and we really going to dig into this real heavy. along with some other things we're going to dig into with the racism in the church, because we can't speak about racism in politics without speaking of racism in the church, because the evangelical church has become the number one proprietor of superiority in our nation using the name of Jesus. Okay. I don't think a lot of people really understand the damage that comes with that, or even the COINTEL that is involved in that. And so I'm gonna start my panel off with Apostle Ruby Red. You should know I'm gonna call on you first, and then we'll get people in as we go. What do you think about what's going on? What do you think about what I'm talking about? Because I've been talking about this all day long, ever since about 7 o'clock in the morning. Here on the West is 6:26, and we're just now walking out of the committee meeting, which some of us were live via Zoom and so on like that. But either way it goes, we were talking about this very subject, and I can honestly say the West Coast, we're a little bit more open to it, because racism is spoken about openly here. What do you got? Talk to me, Apostle. Give me something here.
Well, what you're talking about, Chief Apostle, is so very pertinent for today, because a lot of times when we walk in ignorance of what actually is happening in our society, in our world, in our churches, in our society, there is a lot of time uneducated ones that will be giving us that information. And I like what you said about the author of this particular book, that we all should have. But there is a need for this discussion that you're talking about, because when we have a lack of understanding and a lack of truth as to what racism actually is, and the difference between racism in the church and in the world. And we as ministers in the house should be leading our parishioners to actual truth. But if we don't have the truth, and we have a misguided truth, then that's why there is so much of this going on, when we don't even totally understand what's happening. And when someone tried to point it out to us, instead of being negativity towards it, we should have an open ear to hear, so that we can get the instructions, so that we can walk in the right direction. But there is a lot that we do need to understand as to what we need to do as a Black and brown people, to really walk in the power of what we need to walk in.
Yeah, and you know what? The ugly part about it, Apostle Ruby Red, is that it has not been that long ago that Black and brown people were not allowed to read or write.
Right.
So, to be really fair about it, and to be honest, because hopefully we'll get some people into discussion once we say this, Black people didn't know what racism was, because no one could read and no one could write. So we didn't know that it was dealing with the economics. We always thought it was the threat of the color of our skin, even though that does play a part in it. And it shouldn't, but it does. But the truth of the matter is that when they destroy and when they kept us from education, that's what started the ball on racism. We didn't even know what racism was until the late 1800s. Now, that's something that a lot of people don't even really know about. And again, when you read the book Black Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson gives us a thorough description of the histories of the stereotypes, even from Arabia, even from the Middle East, and how Black and brown people were slaves in that culture also. Hello, somebody. So this is the time that everybody jumps in the conversation. We done stirred up the Kool-Aid, so come on in, panel. Don't wait for me to call on you. Just come on in with whatever you have so that we can analyze it and then talk in the discussion. So whoever else has got something, come on in with it.
Well, let me say this, Dr. Kiva, too. Just what you said, right? That's why if they understand that statement, that what they said, say, if you want to keep us, the Black and brown people, from knowing anything, you put it in a book.
Exactly. That's very true. That's a real statement. That's a real statement. That's not a make-believe statement. I think a lot of people get offended when that statement is made. And they always say, oh, that's not true. That's very true. That's very true. Because we couldn't read or write. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why that statement has been made. Exactly. I thought I heard now we got.
Yes, Mr. I heard George another voice here too. So I will subside.
Oh no, you good. You good, because I want this to be an open discussion. So nobody's offended anybody. So we all talk whenever we go. But go ahead, Bishop George. You got something there?
Hey, God. Shalom and shalom, Bishop Apostle Ruby Red.
Hallelujah.
The person on the pad, that's my wife.
Okay.
So yeah,
most definitely,
most definitely, America and the Western world is racist. Through my experiences in life, working at the penitentiary, being in various dealings with individuals and children and so on and so forth, and agencies, that we miseducated about our history. We miseducated about our culture. So we got brought over on the slave ship, started back in the first one was 1565, the good ship Jesus. And so tell us 1619. Then they brought us here. And after those 65 years of taking our culture and language.
You're on mute, Bishop George. You put yourself on mute. Come up off of mute. There you go. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, a call was coming in. Yeah, and so with this present police brutality, you don't got to train somebody not to be that aggressive and have that such of a animosity toward a race of people. But I was a correctional officer, so they trained us to, in a dangerous situation, to shoot. Trained to shoot to kill, but you can't say that your life is in danger when you got a weapon and they ain't got no weapon. The lady out that was my taser. Going all these chokeholds, all these things. They trained us to do all this. So, but you have to have hatred and animosity in your heart to take a life of an individual. And we even got ammunition that's not even lethal. They got bean bags, so on and so forth, and different things. But when it comes to the Black and brown, and they taking the lives of people, it got to be on film. They let them go. Sometimes they don't. Just like in Chicago with the 16 shot, they made sure that all the officers off the day before, they convicted him on the next day. But then they only gave him under 10 years. They didn't give him for each shot, being a felony. So the politicians would come in and they'd throw the race card out there. The Democrats, president saying, well, you ain't Black if you don't vote for me. And if you vote for the Republicans, you're Uncle Tom. So now we at where we at now. Browns losing their life daily. Some get publicized, some don't. And then all the people that circle around them, the Al Sharptons and the Crumps of the world want to represent them. And once you receive the money, the civil money, it's a different when they persecute them. So this keeps perpetuated for generation after generation after generation. And we was hung, we was lynched, we was drove through here in Texas. The man, they drove him behind the truck. And just to look at you, I hate you just by looking at you. And it boils down to the fact they know who we are. We don't know who we are. Right. And then we kill our own selves. So when it comes to the political ploy of saying, hey, that's the race card. America's not racist. Yes, they are. Even though white people come march down there with us and so on and so forth, try to get in the way. Well, we love y'all. We so on and so forth. If y'all wasn't racist, give me my 40 acres, give me my trillions of dollars that you owe us from slavery. All the people that have been shot down. I worked in the penitentiary for 5 years, shedding doors on mostly brown and black men. We trained at the state of Illinois to do what we have to do to restrain them and so on and so forth. And if you have to shoot them with the gun, you do that. And so it's just they can't handle the truth. They just lying left and right. And if you watch the TV prognosticators, they train to say that over. And what do you think? 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 It's not what you think. It's what does the word say? If you love your neighbor, you would show more restraint with the life of a human being. And after that man had his neck, put his foot, ankle, and knee, excuse me, on that man's neck for all that time. Then one of the jurors got the nerve to say, well, one of the forensic guys convinced her that he was just, so it's just sad. This goes on every day in traffic stop. I got grandsons of age. You have to train them how to talk when they stop you. But it's best to know the information and know your rights. And so when you do get stopped, make sure you're doing so on and so forth. So this is going to continue to go on. So they could pit us against each other, the whites against the blacks. And as you notice, they're making more of the movies. The movie was up for Academy Award, Judah and the Black Messiah, when they came and shot down Mark Clark and them in Chicago when they was in the Black Panthers. And so now, the fact from a religious standpoint, we got the things that's not true and we don't know who we are. So until we know who we are, we can become unified. But the forces of darkness is going to continue to perpetuate the lies and the mistruths and the misnomers about the black and brown people and the people of eccentric African or Afro descent all over the world.
Well, see, this is good because now we get into the area where I wanted to go, which is the religious part. Because a lot of people want to know, what does the religious part have to do with the political part? And without going deep into, history and so on like that, you have got white supremacist groups such as the Ku Klux Klan, which they don't call themselves that anymore. Newsflash to a lot of people. A lot of folks say, well, I haven't seen the Klan in years. They're still around. They just don't call themselves the Klan openly. Okay. I could name several groups. I'm not going to, because for the sake of the conversation, I want to try to keep it as simple as I can. You have a group of people. Okay. And this is going to be really interesting what I'm getting ready to say, because I'm getting ready to stir up the Kool-Aid. So all you folks on YouTube, if you want to join the conversation and want to jump into the with us, you can get on Zoom with us. The meeting ID number is 884-7304-3470. And the passcode is 254907, because you're going to want to get in on this, especially after some of the things I'm getting ready to say. Ruby Red.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
You want to know one group of people I can't stand more than anybody? This little group, they call themselves evangelical.
Of course. Come on, talk about it.
Yeah. The white because you really don't have black evangelicals. You just got black folks that follow evangelicals. Okay. The white evangelical church has normalized the power of the Holy Spirit. As a matter of fact, if we want to do history, since we want to go there, The white evangelical church didn't even believe in the prophetic message of the Spirit. Okay. They didn't believe that there were any more apostles, any more prophets, or
Right.
even a message, period. Okay. Let's not even,
Exactly.
let's be realistic about it. They didn't believe in nothing. The only thing they believed in was a traditional church art form that they created many years ago. They took away a lot of the different prophetic the dealings. Because a lot of people know that there's more books than the 66 books of the Bible.
Yes.
You don't have to be a Hebrew Israelite or a prophetic teacher to know that there are more books. Okay. The problem is the perspective, because
Mhm.
even though you got more books, you have to have somebody that is filled with the Spirit to be able to know the message of those books so that we can apply the ones that are important to us now. Okay.
Yes.
For example, there is a book of Eden, or in a book of Eve, as some people read. Because I was talking to a young lady, and she said she was reading the book of Eve. Okay. I thought that was wonderful. She was reading the book of Eve. I did. But knowing the kind of mind that this young lady had, because she had been influenced by the evangelical church, I knew that what she was reading was a contradiction and was going to confuse her. Now, mind you, you got Kenneth Copeland, and I just want to talk about the great Kenneth Copeland for a minute. This guy who openly is probably one of the richest preachers on the planet. Okay. How can you be satisfied with what you have in prosperity and most of your followers are in poverty? Now,
Wow.
so like, where does that connect with politics? It connects exactly with politics, because if you look at the base of the Republican Party, the base of the Republican Party are evangelical Christians. Okay. So you got a bunch of poor white folks that are pushing an agenda, a false narrative of a Jesus that don't exist, but they're stronger in number than the ones of truth. Now, this goes with the Bible, because the Bible says that only a remnant would worship him in spirit and in truth. So we get that part. At least I get it. I'm not arguing that fact, because it's a true fact. But then we jump over to the Democratic Party. Most of the people in the Democratic Party, I probably say in the past 10 years, the Democratic Party has changed so much, because now you got what you call progressives in the Democratic Party. And the progressives would include people of alternative lifestyle, meaning LGBTQ plus. I got to make sure I say that right, because there's so many different transformations into that. Then you also have, I don't know, maybe you're more carefree type people that are liberals, but then you also have the moderate Democrats. And this is where I'm going with this, because I know I'm jumping all around the mountain. I did that for one reason. You cannot hold high office such as president, senator, and sometimes even certain seats in Congress cannot even be won without the vote of Black people. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And we've been coached in our spiritual world.
Come on, say that.
We've
Right.
been coached in our spiritual world, because most Black Christians, or most Black believers, Hebrew Israelite also, do not and will not vote. And why? Because they've been told that their vote doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The president is already selected, the, whatever, whoopty woo woo woo. Well, we just went through an election in 2020, y'all. We just elected a new president. And to counteract one of the largest elections in history, in the presidential history, to counteract that, because the Democrats won. So to counteract that, the former president said that there was tampering. Oh, they cheated. Joe Biden didn't really win the election. And now the media has propagated that as the big lie. Okay, the big lie. That's basically what it is now. And it's amazing because all of this has been set up through the beginning of slavery, because the black man and the black woman, well, not necessarily the black woman, but the black man couldn't read or write. So he didn't know what he was looking at half the time. Okay. So he was controlled. I'm laughing because it's really hilarious to me when I hear a lot of people say, well, your vote doesn't matter. How would you know? You don't even read the policies, let alone know the propaganda into the two different parties. Because when you look at it, the Democrats need black folks. The Republicans need black folks. Okay. And Dr. Claude Anderson, it's funny to me because he was talking about this, because Dr. Claude Anderson used to work for the Carter administration. Okay. And it's hilarious to me because in the hypothesis, people don't understand something about your vote. Black folk got to be the silliest people I ever met in my life. Oh, Father, help us in the name. Black folk got to be the sick, because we don't have no expectation with our vote. Don't you realize that voting is based upon what you get out of it?
Exactly. Okay? Yeah.
So if we don't want nothing, we don't get nothing. I mean, it's funny. It's hilarious because Black Lives Matter has got the nerve to run around here and say, oh, Joe Biden ain't listening to us. Well, before you elected Joe Biden, did you tell him that he had to listen to you? Did you put any standards there? Did you even write up agendas to make him listen to you? Absolutely not. So guess what? Guess what? He ain't gonna listen to you. I don't care how good old, I don't care how much y'all try to make good old Joe out to be this good old guy and all this other crap. This is the same dude in the 90s that pushed the crime bill that locked up so many black men till it was a shame. Okay. Now, since then, he's apologized for it. But I mean, you really want to apologize to me? Let's get some reparations going here. Because we are not, I don't care how much you try to fight racism. You cannot fight racism if economically we are not on the same playing field with everybody else.
That's right, because we're not equal in our economics, no matter what way you look at it. And so we can't go up the ladder when there is no economical balance in all of us.
Yeah, look at our churches. Look at our churches. Black churches are notorious for raising up a bunch of spiritually dumb folk. We notorious for that. We shout, we holler, we got good music. You know, most people come to black churches because they know they're gonna get entertained. What a reputation, people. What a reputation. Anybody can jump in. You ain't got to hold back. Anybody can jump in. We're not being form and formality. Anybody can jump into this conversation. I have a problem. I have a major problem with this because we now are building spiritually dumb people. We really are.
What
And
it looks like, Dr. Keeper, again, is a lot of times they be sold out on this 501c3
yeah,
program. So that's all they think about, because then they're getting tax-free money, but that's not really tax-free money as a whole, because there's stipulations for you getting that money. There's stipulation for you keeping that money. There's
that's right.
stipulations that you have to answer for. You might not answer for it maybe for the first 3 years, but then after that, you're going to have to answer for it. And
Shoot,
so
you,
sometimes they get stuck in getting, oh, I got a free grant. But no, that grant is not free,
uh,
because you are bound. And then they want to keep you in that category, not let you go up the economical ladder.
see, and that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up, the 501c3. That's the biggest myth amongst the Black church that I've ever heard, because ever since it was actually used, because let the truth be told, let me give y'all a little background history about the church and the 501c3. It was Jim Baker. I know a lot of you guys remember Jim Baker, the PTL Club, Praise the Lord Club, the one that went up under in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was Jim Baker who redefined what the 501c3 actually does, because all it was a tax exempt status. That's basically all it was. Okay, that just meant that the church couldn't be taxed for nothing, and that you could get donations, and people could put the donations that they gave on their taxes to get a write off or get money back. Okay, but see, let me tell you something. Jim Baker got smart. He got accountants. He got all kind of different financial people, and they learned how to burn that, how to get money out of people, and how to use the government to get money. So it wasn't Black folks that messed it up. It was a white man. We say that very strongly. It was a white man. Okay. And he was buying his dog, what was it, $2 million dog collars and
Yeah.
$1.5 million dog houses. And he was getting his lovers, quote, lovers, brand new cars, and buying them houses and stuff like that. And he finally got caught. Of course, some of y'all may remember the story, some of you may not, but all you got to do is Google it, and it's all over the internet and everywhere else, so you can get the story. But that's what started Black churches into wanting to get this status, because they weren't thinking about the money itself. They were thinking about getting, for some odd reason, people had this fictional idea that once you got that status, you get money. Okay. Didn't nobody tell them they had to apply for grants? Didn't nobody tell them they had to qualify for those type of grants or anything like that? That they actually had to have things going, and et cetera, and so on like that. Next thing you know, you see people preaching and teaching and talking about, oh, the 501c3 is evil and nobody needs it. Well, the 501c3 was not made for churches in the first place. It wasn't made for churches. Jim Baker turned it around for his ministry, because his ministry was documented as a business. I just wanted to put that out there, because I know a lot of people are real smart. Some people smarter than me, a whole lot smarter than me. But it seems like to me, if we're following that example, right, so-called, then we would have learned our lesson with the Jim Baker situation. Okay, because he actually went to prison.
Yes, he did.
So now it's not public knowledge, but there have been several ministers, pastors, bishops, and in some cases apostles, that have actually went to jail for tax fraud. Okay, so we got a problem going on here now, because this is where the politics come into play.
Yes.
Because you got the evangelical church, Kenneth Copeland. You're gonna hear me say that quite a bit because Kenneth Copeland, he loves to run his big mouth and talk about what God said and that he's a messenger of God and all this other crap. And he's one of the richest preachers on the planet. As a matter of fact, they was checked. I think they checked with all the proceeds of the richest preachers, period. And I think Kenneth Copeland, Joel Osteen, a couple other ones are up in that category as being like the wealthiest preachers in the world. Okay. I got a problem when the United States government, the Congress and the so-called Senate, right? When they don't regulate these billion-dollar pastors. I got a problem with that. Now you wanted to do an investigation on all these pastors. To be exact, it was probably about 10 or 12 years ago. That's when the Senate went into a probe about all these different pastors and the monies and the funneling of monies and so on like that. All that don't do nothing. I mean, finding out about their money don't do nothing because it's already spent. You know, they've already gotten it. So what is that benefiting us as a black and brown people to know that we've been giving money to businesses and not to the work of the Lord?
Amen.
But then that also brings up another topic and another subject, and that is that you got all these butt behind so-called holy people out here that done said that the Lord told them not to give. Wow. Oh, don't nobody want to talk about that.
Can I chime in? With, on the giving thing,
Mm-hmm.
The 501c3 allowed them to raise all kind of money, no kind of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Money is the root of all evil. But they really connected to the politicians because when it comes to election time, you can come in there and the politician can say what he say, but you don't want to lose your status, so you ain't gonna talk against them.
Right.
Speak against them. We have no businesses. The Catholic Church got schools, they got businesses, they non-for-profit. And then when the preachers and the teachers find out for their anniversaries, for their birthdays, all kind of stuff in the name of love, but bring money. You didn't found a faith once we live into the saints. So it don't matter to me when you started, and if he called you, or if he didn't call you. But everybody want to lead some people, but nobody reads. You go back into tithing, you go back into free will offering. The Levitical priesthood is not in the New Testament. Be free will offering, you give what you can, tithe, right? But we as a people, especially some of black holy people, they don't read, they don't study, they don't read the history of where the money comes from. And as my friend's wife worked for she worked for the IRS. Like, unless your offering was over $600, you didn't have to tell them. And you supposed to have two people take it up and one person counted. And then you get the e-books or the books and record what it was. And we had our churches come in and you tell the government if you actually register with the state. If sometimes don't even have to be registered with the state. And no. $600 or so, you ain't got to tell nobody. So when Jim Baker came along and all the other people, Benny Hinn and the rest of the ones, Kenneth Copeland, T.D. Jakes and all that, they knew how to finagle them books and talk money. And they millionaires, multi-millionaires with houses, cars, land, boats, all this can't fly with no commercial. They got to fly private because they got to get the gospel out to people. But it's the sadness how poor people without anything, nobody's feeding the home, nobody got shelters for the homeless, nobody got nothing for the homeless. We in America, we just ride downtown the other day, all these homeless people. But on Sunday morning, they want you to come in there, sit at their feet. Let me teach you. But you should have a class on economics. You don't even have a class on economics in the school. Nobody want to teach the finances in the church. They want to tell you to give them 10%. But what about the free will offering? What about the business? You got to have a business. You got to have every area. Electricians, they have all these businesses that would bring in free will offering, not a tenth of that you got to retire. You also you're going to give $100 to your $1,000, $1,200. So a free will offering to perpetuate things that you to promote the teaching. So find ourselves when we sit somewhere where whatever day of the week it is, Sabbath, Sunday, all of that, and telling you and suggesting you how you should spend your money. But if somebody should have an electrician business, carpentry, a restaurant, consulting, something to be a doctor, that you get every field of endeavor in jobs. That's Black holiness. Most of them is regular everyday people, but on that average Baptist may have professional. But within the body of Messiah, we should have businesses. They were giving out grants. You didn't have to give them, but in the back end of that, the government was in control because you got to give account to them. You got to say you can't do so. When it comes time to them, they pull all that stuff. The Catholic ain't all not for profit. Some of the stuff is for profit, but all these churches and all these people, when they pull that not for profit, what are you going to do? Because evil, the root of evil, but also money is the defense, and money is profitable if your leadership training you how to spend it. And on the average, they're not. They come in poor and leave out poor because nobody has about the economics of the world. And when the politicians come in, hey, they take for granted the Democrats to vote.
Well, the politicians are the benefactors of the projects like the 501c3. And, you know, don't get me wrong, because I'm a proud Hebrew Israelite, very proud. But I'm going to tell you something. Our Hebrew Israelite people, brothers and sisters, are so ignorant when it comes down to the money part of church. And the Christian church has mastered, and literally, I literally mean that, have mastered the art of the finances. And that's why they're still running. And most of the Hebrew Israelite congregations probably don't last that long. Now, let's just be realistic about it. If you don't have a good following, a faithful following that is financially sound, the best you're going to do probably is what we're doing right now, which is do a Zoom call. That's the best you're going to do. Because if you don't have a budget somewhere, then you can't produce nothing. And this is where the divide is coming in at. Because see, politicians don't mind supporting religion, but they have a problem with people that operate functionally spiritually. Because when you deal with a spiritual body, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to tell you that homosexuality is a sin. They're going to tell you that killing another person is a sin. They're going to tell you that, you know, all the things that the Bible calls sin, they're going to call sin. Now, the Bible tells us that when you become one with the Father, you hate the things that the Father hates. Now, this new age teaching and this new age religion out here is teaching, oh, God doesn't teach hate. That's what they're saying. You know, they're saying it specifically. They're saying God doesn't teach hate. Okay. God doesn't teach hate. Wow. So in other words, what you're telling me is that everything that you do in hindsight is okay. You can sin and still go to heaven. My goodness, people. But this is the kind of teaching that's out here. And this is the kind of religion that politicians back. They back that because that gives them control. Because see now, and it works on both sides. I don't want nobody to walk away from this conversation that we having today, and I don't want nobody thinking that I back Democrat or Republican, because I don't back neither one, because I see the game that's being played on both sides of the track. Okay. But I also see the game that's being played in the church. Okay. Whether it's Christian, whether it's Messianic, or whether it's Hebrew Israelite, I see the game. And the game is called cultism. Okay. You get people rallied around one or two people that got a halfway decent message, and that message has got to be funded some kind of way. And just be realistic about it. Don't nobody want to talk about this, Bishop George or anybody else that's on here. Nobody wants to talk about this because we holy, we sanctified. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
One thing that I noticed too in the church, when you talk about that, when we talk about the evangelical, a lot of times they do like what Bishop George say. They have seminars on wealth, right?
Yeah.
And how to build your work,
Sure do.
right?
You sure
but
do.
When it comes to helping the Black and brown people, they don't get that information out to us as freely as they should.
You better say that.
And some wherein I was invited to the class, but they didn't give you the material, or they gave you just a snippet, and you had to. They put a price on it. Let's put it this way: for the Black and brown people, they put a price on it, wherein they know that you would not proceed in going that far, because a lot of times your pocket wasn't able to manage what they were pricing it at.
You just hit the nail. You hit the nail on the head right there. Do you not know why the evangelical church progresses their congregations? Two reasons. Watch this. Number one, it takes finances to keep a business going. So they know that the people that they're dealing with that follow them need to be prosperous for them to be prosperous. Okay.
Right.
Two, most evangelical churches are predominantly white. Point blank. You can't get around it. Black churches are a victim of their own egos. You better, y'all better, I don't care if I don't get no amen, no hallelujah. But Black churches are the victim of their own egos. We fight each other more than we fight the devil.
That's true too.
As a matter of fact, the devil ain't nowhere around. He's sitting off to the side laughing because we that slow. we really that slow. And the thing is that here it is, when you go to the evangelical side, watch this, Apostle Ruby. When you go to the evangelical side, you have successful business owners that are part of the evangelical church.
Yes. And they can also go to the bank. Come on here. And get loans, wherein when we go to the bank for a loan, we can't get a loan.
Can't get
nothing. Get a loan, it's going to be with a high interest. Come on.
Come on now. Half of them. Look. You going there. Go ahead. So
with that high interest, they give you a shorter time to pay it back, right? And you got to start paying for it within 30 to 45 days, when they probably get a 6 month. The evangelical get about 6 months free of no taxes, no payback. But
none.
Black and brown people have within 30 to 45 days, and then the interest on it so high. Even if some of the Black and brown people have good credit, wherein it probably would be in the 700 or 800, still yet the loans that they do apply for comes with stipulations.
And then now I'm getting ready to shift gears on you. Now let's shift to the political side. When it comes down to the government regulations, right? The laws that are passed to cater to those people that can meet those quotas.
Come on here. Come on here.
Okay. So guess what? The people that are beneath that, which more than likely are not in the evangelical church, the people that are beneath that wind up starting storefront churches and getting shut down months later.
Come on, say that. That's true.
Or better yet, they don't even take months. It could be a couple of days. Come on now. We ain't got no money. We ain't got no money. And we sit up here telling people, talking about prosperity, and we prophesying to folk, talking about, oh, God gonna bless you with this and bless you with that. How you gonna work your way into prosperity and there is no open example of any productivity?
So we need piece of the economical pie, and
Exactly.
not just a piece. We need like 3/4 of the pie.
Come on now. And this is a conversation that most people are terrified in the church to have, because we have subjected ourselves to the poor man's mentality, and God gonna heal us, God gonna bless us. Let me tell you something with your little stupid self. God is only going to deal with those that want to be accountable to what they need to do and not what they're dreaming up in some fantasy. Okay? We got Disneyland in the church. And then the first thing we want to do is blame everybody for our own stupid mistakes. Now, I'm not good with timing. I'm pretty sure Bishop George probably got a better grip on this than I do. But I think it was in the, if I'm not mistaken, it was in the mid 1800s, somewhere around about 1855 to 1860, all the way up to the time of Juneteenth, which was 1865. Okay. That's when Black people were finally being taught in schools how to read or write. Now, if am I getting close, Bishop George? Am I getting close to that? You're on mute. You're on mute. He probably didn't hear me. But anyway, there you go. Okay. So this is my problem with that whole situation, right? If Black people in that time couldn't read or write and didn't understand legislation, laws, and so on like that, because they didn't, okay? It was about that time, give or take, in 1865 to 1867, that the first Black person or first Black man was accepted into Congress. His name was Congressman Henry Long, if I'm not mistaken. And he was from Georgia. You know, he was accepted into Congress, and he was Republican. Okay, he was a Republican. Because at that time, the Republican Party was considered to be the party of Reconstruction at that time. Okay. Now, this is the problem. This is where the problem comes in at. When you reconstruct, that means to reconfigure. That means to change things around. But see, where America messed up at is that the Constitution that had been set up in America from the time before the 1800s has never been changed. So when you read the Constitution and you look at the articles of the Constitution and look at the amendments and all this other stuff, you got to read that carefully, because it was created with not a Black man free on this land. Wow. I think that's interesting. Now, some people might not think that's interesting, but I think that's real interesting, because you mean to tell me that all these years we've never changed what the Constitution has ever said. Black people couldn't read or write. Now we can read and write, and we understand exactly what it's saying, but we still ain't figured out what it's saying.
Correct.
13th Amendment.
That's hilarious to me, y'all. Go ahead, Bishop George.
13th Amendment, you know, the other one was the we the people. You was 3/5 of a person. Then when the 13th Amendment come along, but it's still tied to crime. Then they come up with the slave codes, and right after doing Reconstruction, that's when they was in Congress, and then they come up with the slave codes, and a crowd of people, a crowd of Blacks who go to jail for Vegas, same thing. putting 1 million people in jail. They still doing it to this day. Then when you come to 1870, you have another amendment to come against the Ku Klux Klan and all the people that were gathering up black people. And the time January 6th insurrection when they tried to take over the Capitol. But nobody's getting persecuted too much. As imagine it was a bunch of black people with Black Lives Matter. Boy, they was all on the steps. Politics, we don't pay attention to history. We don't pay attention to his story. What does history say? Lincoln was a Republican. Assassinated Lincoln. Jackson got in. There was an economic thing about the bank. And so then, hey, get these people.
So
we were on the skilled labor. We were the skilled labor. We did everything. So they realized, wait, we got all this skilled labor out here. We were the one that was doing everything. They sat in their house and got waited on, especially so what are we going to do with these people? Let's gather them up, come up with the slave code, come up with Jim Crow and put them back in. You got a farm, okay, but you're going to get the money to the white man. So give us our 40 acres to the mule. They're not going to do that. So we get to 2021. Nobody's paying attention to the Constitution, how it was wrote, and how to cipher it all. And then you send it before the Supreme Court, and that's not what they was for. So all happened, all these acts of overt racism, and then when you go to try to do some the unions of the police ain't gonna let too much happen. Like I said earlier, with the 16 shot, the guy that lied on the reports, they made them innocent and gave the man about 5 years or 3 years. He gonna be back out of prison, and so we waiting on the George Floyd, how much they gonna get a guy. So and so forth. So then they convince you to run out there in the streets and march, which ain't, and it's not connected to money.
Right.
They put bricks out there. They own the buildings, own the properties. You tearing up.
Right.
People paying you. Whenever we didn't ride, we burn up stuff. We own none of the businesses. And I burn down. They got insurance. They get the money. There's no economic return. There's no economic return.
So let me ask you a question. This is for you, Bishop George, but this is for anybody that want to answer with him. So you mean to tell me that in order for me to be effective in the government, or even for government to listen to what I have to say, I have to own something?
Yes.
My wife she has a lot of entrepreneur ideas. She should speak on that phone and speak on that. You ain't got no good president. And like Apostle said, you go to the bank, unless you got credit score. Church congregation can't get no loan to build. No church, these buildings before COVID. But now the people that do, you knew about it, Apostle, that we're going to be on these devices that they were listening to, that they can monitor. Zoom, private, Facebook. They will put you in Facebook jail if you start talking about stuff, start educating people, start mentioning people, start mentioning the hidden hand behind everything that they show us. But if we love chicken. We love chicken. Harold play. National franchise. We love some chicken, or we have to eat food, period. We buy a pot, then some, if somebody else and half of the ideas we started them when they stole them. Colonel Sanders stole Kentucky Fried from my sister. And so
now this is good, because I'm going somewhere with this. So if a church can't build up a budget, or better yet, if a church can't build up some type of credit in some kind of way, and there is no financial stability with the foundation of the church, right? I don't care how much you pray for the prosperity of people. If the church doesn't prosper, then how can the church, who is cursed because they don't have their finances together, right? How can they pray for other people to get their finances together when they are taking advantage of the people that don't even really have finances because they don't have finances? Makes kind of sound crazy, don't it? I mean, Sounds like the blind leading the blind, don't you think?
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's why when they come in with the thing about tithe, tithe talking to Israel, and tithe not money. Only time they gather some money is on the feast days, and if they had too much stuff to bring to Jerusalem.
Right.
The Levitical priesthood is no more. So we got free will. If you $1 billion shop, you $100 that ain't no money too. It gets tax free. It's tax exempt if you give it to a non-profit organization. So you got free will. So we need some business mind. I mean, I wish Sister Harris would get here. She talk about some business.
No, you're doing exactly what I want you to do, because there's a reason why I'm going there.
Business off the ground. I got to get my business off the ground, but they won't give you no loan. They had these one loan PPP loans out, and so when doing the COVID, if you could get the loan on your credit, like Apostle was saying, but if your credit ain't right, getting your word better lend and not.
Okay, check this out, Bishop. And this is for everybody. I hope people listen to me real good on this one, because I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings now. Okay?
Heard them.
You ain't going to be seen or heard by a bank if your credit does not match records that approve them to even talk to you.
Exactly.
Come on.
Okay? So watch this. Watch this. Some people have bad credit lines in the spirit and got the nerve to want to pray a miracle, and you so blind that you don't have a line of credit, but you steady talking and ain't got nothing to show for it, but you steady telling everybody, oh, it's gonna be a blessing. And then the first thing you want to holler is, we want to equate the giving, and we want to get you to give a $200 seed. If you seed $200 and you go in the seed time harvest, that's going to bring you back this, that, the other. Well, if you could count so good, you would see you ain't got no credit. Okay. So guess what? What you're doing is what the Bible says not to do. The Bible says sow into good ground.
That's right.
So you're not sowing into good ground because there is no manifestation in that ground. No harvest, nothing. So my problem, and maybe all you guys can help me out, because I'm gonna be the dumb guy now. Okay. My problem is that, what are we investing in? Are we investing in truth? Or are we just investing in something that makes us feel good?
As far as I can see, they're invested, they're trusting in the person that's sitting in the front. Because I do not understand why help me with this, Father, because I do not want to.
No, say it. Just let it rip. Your freedom of speech on here, woman of God. Go ahead.
It's time out for the tricksters in the church house. I'm just going to put it out there. It's just time out for the tricksters in the church house. It's time for people to start not wanting a free pass on everything. It's time for us to understand. It's time to go back to the basics. We have to learn what our surroundings are first. And then we have to go back and find the true people of God that want to train you and put you in a position to be good soil, to be something that needs to be sowed into. Someone or the bodies of Christ that will go back and reach back and pull up and help your fellow man and brother, your brothers and sisters. Because without somebody reaching back to help another person, we're going to still be looking at the same thing another 200 years down the road. We are in a hole. And if you don't be like the donkey, every time somebody throws dirt on you and jump and mash that soil down until you get to the top, you're going to keep on being in the same place. We have to train our children in the way they should go. And that means us. It starts with us. I'm sorry, it does. We have to look in the mirror, and if your mirror is not right, You have to start at home. Get the training. It's not just about schooling, because the colleges, the schools are not built for us.
That's right.
It is really not built for us. They are passing children, and they're making the teachers pass children to dumb them down. You need to get involved with your children. You need to get involved with your family members and stop berating and putting each other down. We need to get involved in our communities. And if it takes one house to start at one house, and everybody put in and build up that house, and that house builds up the next house. You got to start. You got to learn your economics. You got to teach these kids how to write a check, how to manage finances, how to build it, because the banks do not help you.
Wow.
The government and the banks are not set aside for us.
No.
It is set aside to help them. So now it's time to go back to school. And I'm not talking about a formal school, because we, like you have been pronounced earlier during this process, that we have all of our labor. We are laborers. So let's go back and labor in the right way and train the ones who are coming behind us to have a responsibility to pull up those that need the help.
Wow.
Who is not going to just go out and drink it away or smoke it away or be depressed. We need to help these people come out of that. When are we going to take responsibility for our own kind? Sorry.
I got Apostle Timothy Shockley on here. I know he got a lot to say, so I'm waiting on him to get in.
Hey, I've been waiting to get in here for a minute. I'm working tonight, but man, I said I need to pull over because I need to get in on this conversation.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Do your thing, bro.
You know,
man.
I've been listening. You know, I'm gonna say that when me and my family wanted to start a business, the first thing that we did is we went and got some good counsel from some people who's been in business for a while, and the first thing that they told us to do is to take a class on money education. Money education. And I learned some things in there that's hid from the Black people. I mean, I learned some things that's hid from the Black people, and some of the things that I learned that just totally blew my mind. And I tried to, me, my son, and my wife, we was trying to take this information to some of our local churches to teach them what we have learned. And we got rejected. We got rejected because they felt like, you know, tithes and offerings. They say we've been taught how to raise money, but we've never been taught how to invest money.
Yes.
Say that.
We've been taught how to get in a faith line and give you $100, $200, $300 seed, but we never, but we've never been taught how to put that money. I tell you this, it's a pastor in Oklahoma. It's a pastor in Oklahoma. He started changing his mindset on how the people in his congregation was giving their tithes and offering. And what he did, he put them through a program. He put them through a program to teach them money education, and his whole church is millionaires right now.
Come on now.
Come on here.
Yeah, because of money education. We as the Black church do not have an education about money, period.
Nope.
See, the Bible says that the love of money is the root to all evil, but the Bible also says that money answers all things.
Say that. Say that now. Say that.
You know, You know, so my thing is this: if your ministry is dependent on tithes and offerings, you're gonna fail.
Yep.
You're gonna
Totally.
fail.
Totally.
See, the government system has systematically kept us in bondage or systematic slavery to keep us in a certain. See, they only want you to get to a certain point in life. They only want you to get to that certain status, but they don't want you to get. Yeah, they don't want you to get too big. You know, they don't want you to be like the Kenneth Copeland. You know, have been a multi-billionaire. You know, so, and there's a lot of pastors that have very smart business minds, but they won't share it with their congregation.
That's true. That's true.
I was just about to ask anybody, can you name one person that is invested their knowledge and their time and their finances in any of these churches? Can you name one person that has done that?
No.
No.
So you know, we got to be smart. Yeah,
that's what
we got to be smart. Yeah, we got to be smart. We got to know how to invest. We got to know. We got to know how to turn $1 into $10. You know, we got to make smart moves, because see, they already done labeled us as whatever. But we gotta prove them wrong by educating ourselves. You know, the guy that taught me that taught me, because we were going into the real estate business, he was saying, don't worry about your credit. He said, don't worry about not having no money. I'm trying to figure out what is he talking about? But he showed me some things. Yeah, it is so powerful.
It will blow your mind. If the bank
don't loan you money, he said, if the bank don't loan you money, start your own bank.
That's right.
Start my own bank.
That's right.
Because he said, make loans to yourself, keep a paper trail. Then when you go to a bank, you got paper trails showing that, hey, you got a loan.
Shut the front door. See, this Go ahead, Apostle. Go ahead.
But it's different things like that we need to know. We need to understand money management. You know, it's not all about saving. It's not all about putting money up. It's about smart investment. Ministries, churches. We need to buy land. We need to buy business. We need to create. We got to create wealth. It's no reason for the Black community.
That's the word right there. Create, because in diverse times, the people that have prospered have found different ways to make things work, and they created their own way. And that's how a lot of the products. That's how a lot of the products that are advertised on television came to be, because somebody was in a situation and they needed to find a way out.
That's right.
Y'all messing me up, Y'all messing me up.
But hey, I had to jump in. I had to pull over and jump in there.
I knew.
We appreciate it.
I already knew Apostle Timothy Shockley was waiting to get in there. I purposely put some things out there so he could get pumped up. See, I know how to get my brother. Okay, but I'm telling y'all, if we this is where the politics come into play, because the government can regulate things that we don't know nothing about. And then all of a sudden, here we are thinking that we own something, or that we running something, or that we doing something real special. And the truth of the matter is that we're just pawns in the plan to build up on another plan. So that's the reason why you see people in John Hagee's church and Joel Osteen church. That's why there's millionaires in those churches. Okay? It's not just Joel Osteen. See, Black folk kill me, because they'll sit there and say, well, them rich preachers. Well, those congregations are rich people. Okay? you got to understand that Lakewood went from it was already a mega church
Yes.
when John
Small
Osteen
church.
had it.
Yes, it did.
Okay, but then when Joel Osteen took over and they moved into what used to be called the Houston Summit, for those people that don't know the history, he went into the summit with city officials as church members, y'all.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And not only did they have city officials, but he had owners of some of the professional teams in Texas in that church to this day.
Come on here.
Come on now. See, so Deep reached out to Deep, and millionaires started rubbing millionaires. Yeah, y'all don't like what I'm talking about here. But see, the problem in the Black church, again, I'm gonna stir up the Kool-Aid. Y'all gonna get to talking here in a second. The problem in the Black church is we have not even built business owners, let alone millionaires.
Amen.
Okay. The only millionaires we know are entertainers, y'all. Sports figures and entertainers. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So what's the odds?
Yeah, you hit a live one there.
Yeah. So what's the odds of those entertainers and those sports figures coming into the doors of our churches? Heck, we don't even have enough for them to offer them for them to even come to open the door for them. We ain't got nothing. What do we have to offer them? You know?
Wow.
But then we want to sit there and cry and moan and talk about, oh well, the meek shall inherit the earth. Okay, that's all well and good. You know the Bible. But this is my thing right here. And Apostle Timothy Chocolate, I'm about to make him laugh on this one. You might know the Bible, but you ain't got no revelation. Because
Right.
if the meek inherit the earth, that means the meek got to become the rich of the earth eventually. Okay?
Right.
Because the first shall be last, and the last shall become first. So somewhere in my progression as a believer, I can't be the way I was 20 years ago. Uh-oh. I just said something.
That's right.
I'm telling you, we so dumbfounded, and we like that poor boy mentality. We love being poor. Okay,
It's
I want
time
to
to
be.
wake up.
Yeah, I'm ready to have a program where I can get the most expensive cater to show up with the most expensive food that I can buy to get some people of prestige to walk through the door.
Come on.
I know that's right.
Man, oh man. And if we don't get this mentality, what's going to happen is we're going to attract what we are.
But that's what it is.
Well, we've
That's what
always
you like
attracted.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've been and I think we use the excuse of being hold on a minute.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, prophetess. I know you're itching over there. I know how to get you stirred up too. That's okay.
I'm gonna be good. I'm trying my very, very best.
No,
This is so hard because I'm normally so quiet, but
no, we talking about something that needs to be talked about.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
and we want to be equipped.
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna take the first step is my question
Mm-hmm.
to the body.
There you go.
We
go.
all talk a wonderfully good game, but who's ready to take the first step?
That's right.
Take the torch. You're right.
Got to make the first investment. We got to see, because in my opinion, now correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not too far above correction here. I feel like if we step in the right direction and take the right investment, we'll see the manifestation of that. But the fear is that everybody wants to hold on to something, but they don't want to see it grow, or better yet, they haven't been taught how to grow. Just like Apostle Timothy Shockley was saying that him and his wife went and talked to a financial advisor, right? Well, what's wrong with the church having financial people come in and advise. What's wrong with that? Okay.
I've been to a church that actually did that.
Mhm.
Nobody followed the protocol.
Wow.
That's what I was getting ready to say. When I talk about the evangelical church, because I was in one, right? And when they brought in the material, but the price was too high for us Black and brown people, where nobody got together and, like, say for instance, you and I and the prophetess was on the line. We put our resources together. Then we make him repurchase the thing, but nobody wanted to pull together. Everybody wanted to pull separately and couldn't do it. So therefore, it all fall apart, where we could not take advantage of what was being displayed in front of us.
Fear has gotten a hold of the people. And the only way to shake fear loose is by example. You have to give them something to hope for and fight for. You have to give them a taste of it. And you have to put it in their hands and show them how to use it.
Now
I'm getting shovel.
Now I'm getting ready to bring something up that's a sore subject with a lot of people, but oh well. Because we just gonna have to work out the soreness afterwards, but I'm gonna bring it up anyhow. Now we got a sudden move all of a sudden of people that want to leave. Now I'm talking about Black folks, Black spiritual people, that all of a sudden now it's a wave that everybody wants to go to Africa. Okay. All of a sudden everybody has the same vision. Everybody wants to go to this place, that place. I'm not even going to start mentioning the place because you can look on the map and see what's in Africa. My problem with that particular thing is that financially that is not sound. Okay. I've been to Africa on several different occasions. I've been to Ghana. I've been to South Africa on several different occasions. I've been to Somalia. And one of the things that those people over there look for out of America is money. Okay. If you are a very wealthy preacher and you come to Africa, then you are considered to be like a god almost, because ministries are not flourished financially in Africa. Okay. They look to America to be the shining example for that piece there. Now, the question I'm going to ask that's going to be out in the air for a lot of y'all is that it's okay to desire the relocation, because the Lord does move you. He does. And yes, he does give you a vision of relocation, which I think that's a wonderful thing, because it's an individual thing. It's not so much as a group thing as it is an individual thing. But this is my problem with this particular move that everybody is saying is so, because we've even had people come down to it and say that the Lord has said to leave from the United States and go back to Africa because it's the promised land, et cetera, and so on like that. I ain't got no problem with going to the promised land. I don't, because trust me, if y'all told me right now to go to the promised land, I would go. But this is one problem I have with going to the promised land. I'm not going to the promised land on borrowed land. Okay. I want to go there and own some land. What's the whole purpose in going if you don't own nothing, or if you're not going to own anything? Oh, I just stirred up the Kool-Aid. Got y'all thinking now, don't I? At one point in time, Africa was considered like the diamond of the world, because all the riches and everything was in Africa. But unfortunately, the Europeans went over there and splundered just about everything. Okay. Now, whether there's some riches still left in Africa, I don't know, because I ain't been there lately. But I do know that you ain't gonna get too far if you ain't got no money there. Anybody want to talk about that? Because that's a hot topic going on in our culture right there. in the spiritual world. Everybody say they want to go back to Africa. Anybody want to go back to Africa?
I want to go to Israel. That's where I want to go.
I knew you was gonna say that. Now,
yes, that's what I'm hearing. A lot of the churches are talking about, yes, going to Africa, but they have a wrong concept and a wrong idea of why they want to go there.
They think those people over there are really slow and stupid, and gonna let them come over there and let them become their overseers, their apostles and bishops. But see, the thing is, it's just like anywhere you go. If you ain't got something to bring to the table, you definitely ain't gonna be able to eat at the table. See, we talking about a spiritual potluck now. Okay. And just like we were talking about investments and so on like that, and the prophetess was saying, you know, who's going to actually do it? Well, I see it like this. That's a good question to ask, but how many people are going to stand with the right people in order to do it? Because we can have dominion if we learn unity. I mean, who cares who's the forefront of it? You know, that's one of the things that Black people are so scared of, because everybody want to be the head. My thing is, you know, if Apostle Timothy Shockley came to me and said that he's got a vision to do something, which he has done that before, and said, okay, I got a vision to do this, right? The first thing I did, or the first thing I would say is, you know what? The Lord bless it, because I'm standing with you. And wherever I'm needed, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Instead of coming in with my own agenda or my own idea to say, okay, well, I can improve this and help you with this if you just let me do this.
No.
Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of us. Yeah, go ahead. Because so many people got ideas, but they don't follow orders.
Right.
Okay. The greatest disciples or the greatest apostles were only that because they were great disciples. And I think that's, again, another topic that is over preached and not really touched on. Because in order to become an apostle, you have to be a great disciple. Wow.
True.
Shut the front door.
Hey, are you opening up a whole nother can of worms there?
They don't like to hear that, Apostle, because everybody want to be like, I'm the anointed, but the anointed had to be the most humiliated. Okay.
Right.
At the bottom of the go for it.
I'm sorry about cutting you off. You go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry.
No. Please come on in here. Come on.
You know, we have been so conditioned to try to dominate one another. Till you know, don't nobody really want to follow. Everybody want to lead. You know, and it's a mindset. You know, going back to what you was talking about earlier about the mentality of how we think. You know, it goes way back to the Willie Lynch letter. How he it wasn't a domination of the oppressors over the slaves, but he turned the slaves to be prejudiced against each other.
That's right.
You know, the light skin against the black skin, you know, and to degrade the men, that the women can be over the men. You know, it's a lot of things, and that mentality has passed on from generation to generation to generation. And you know, something gotta change, something gotta break. Because the way we are thinking, you know, like you were saying, if somebody have a great idea, people don't want to celebrate. They want to try to tear you down.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
some people that I used to hang around when I was in school. We was good friends. We done a lot of things together. We was good buddies. But as soon as I went to college and got a few degrees under my belt, now they think I'm too good to be around. You know, I mean, well, come on, you know. But they want to, you know. I'm coming to them thinking, hey, you know, we gonna celebrate this. But no, you know, now you got education. You know more. What kind of mess is
Right.
that?
Right. That part. It's jealousy. It's pure
Yeah,
jealousy, and it's a misunderstanding of what you have gained, because what you've learned will benefit them if they would listen.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't get it. I don't really understand it, and that's the reason why in our modern day and time, white supremacy is as strong as it is, because they can sit back and watch us like a bunch of cockroaches fight and not do nothing.
Exactly.
Our
And
people.
Exactly.
yeah, that's the reason why this it's taken this long for the United States government to even think about bringing up a crime bill. And how long has black folks been beat half to death, police brutality? Bishop George will tell you, you know, he used to be working the prisons, so he can tell you, you know, verbatim that this thing has been going on so long that we lost count. But the
Why do you think
foolish
the prisons were created?
exactly. Now, Joe Biden, God bless President Biden, he claimed that he's going to fight to get the private prisons closed. Now that's what he said. Now until he do it, I'm going to be more than skeptical. Which we need, the private prisons need to be shut down, point blank. They need to be shut down because private prisons fall up under the 13th Amendment, which makes them you know, open to free slavery. Okay, point blank. So there's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. We can't curve around it. We can't even make excuses for it. That's just bottom line. That's what it is. Now, I don't care if it's a Democrat, Republican, or independent. If you say you're going to do something in that nature, in that capacity, then you need to do it with full capacity, full support. And I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of these so-called groups that are out here now, because there's a lot of grassroots groups out here now that are claiming to be, you know, for black people. I mean, that's what they say. I've yet to see the full totality of it, because don't get me wrong, I think marching is very effective in its place. Okay. But if they don't pass this George Floyd crime bill act, then all that marching that they did last year during the summer and people getting COVID and getting sick and all this other crap, for it would have been for no reason. You know, I'm not jumping up and down about this this conviction that they got with this Chauvin dude up in Minnesota. I'm not jumping up and down about that conviction, because they still actually got the sentence, the man. This is what people fail to realize. You know, everybody was jumping up and down. Oh, he's guilty. Well, yeah, he's guilty, but he's got a few more weeks, and they're gonna weigh the situation, and then they're gonna sentence the man. And so I'm not jumping up and down until they do that. Right. And as a matter of fact, since you're talking about appealing, they are trying to appeal it now, because one of the jurors took a picture of one of the jurors in Washington on the march in Washington, where he had a T-shirt on where it said get your knee off my neck. So they're trying to get a mistrial. So for all you folks that's jumping up and down talking about we made it, we ain't got nowhere yet, because they still trying to take it from us. But that's only one case. You know, several cases. What about Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor? What's the one that got killed for selling the Lucy cigarettes. Eric Gardner. Oh my goodness. The names just keep piling up, y'all. And you know the funny part about it, if it hadn't been for technology, we wouldn't have never known those names, because I'm pretty sure there's like a whole lot of names we don't know nothing about. Technology is the only reason that we even know about Ahmaud Arbery, and especially George Floyd. If it hadn't been for that courageous 16, 17-year-old girl that was out there that day when they did what they did to George Floyd, it wouldn't even went this far. So let's be realistic about it. Systematic racism lives. And systematic racism lives only because of the economic situation of Black people. And at the core and the heart of our economic situation is the poor Black church. And I think there's a lot of people, and I got family members, and they might be watching me right now, so they about to get upset with me because I'm going to say what I got to say. I got family members that love playing the victim. Oh, woe is me. We po. All my life, I never had no advantage. Well, the more you keep subjecting yourself to the disadvantage, you won't have nothing. Okay? Now, I know there's a difference. Me being a strong Black man, I've been discriminated against more than one or two of, maybe I can't even count how many times I've been discriminated against, only because I'm dark skinned. Now that sounds crazy. Now, Apostle Timothy Shockley brought that up because of the Willie Lynch syndrome had Black folks of different shades hating each other, which still goes on to this day. You know, still. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with you liking a mocha person. If you like a chocolate mocha or a white chocolate or albino, ain't nothing wrong with that. Either way it go, you're Black. At the end of the day, it don't matter what shade you are, you're still Black. Okay. But we gotta learn. I ain't gonna say how to get along, because you ain't necessarily gotta like a person to work with them. We gotta learn that these economic situations are the root of our problem. Okay. The Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil. Can I get somebody to agree with me that our problem in the Black community is the lack of money?
Amen.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Because if we can, you can't love something that you don't have enough of. Dr. Claude Anderson, y'all make sure you guys go look up Dr. Claude Anderson. He's on Facebook also. But he's been in the Black community for many, many years. Used to work for President Carter. He was, I think he was the Secretary of Finance and Commerce for the state of Florida. So Dr. Anderson has been around for many, many years. And earlier this year, I endorsed the rapper Ice Cube. I endorsed him for his contract with Black America. I think Apostle Ruby Red, you was around when I did that. And the contract, I would advise anybody to go check it out. Go online, type in Ice Cube, rapper Ice Cube, and type in his contract with Black America. And I think a lot of you guys will be very impressed by this contract because it is such an economic boom. And, you know, it says volumes to our true economic situation and our mentality towards us as a culture of people and where we need to be today and how we need to come out. Does anybody have anything that they want to just bring up as a topic or talk about? I'm leaving the floor open.
No, I do want to say something though, but once we get our topic lined up and how we want to go and proceed forth, we still need to train people once they get the money, how to manage the money. Because a lot of our people, once they get a dollar or a dime, will run, and the first thing they want to do is buy everything that they think they missed out on. Instead of investing it, instead of learning how to use it and make it benefit and work for you and your family and those around you.
Yes.
We have to train ourselves that once we get a dollar in our pocket, everything is not to spend.
Right.
So
and
true.
we have to learn how to invest and work with people that can teach us how to do it correctly.
Mm-hmm. So every $1 million don't mean you got to buy a brand new car.
Amen.
Some people don't want to drive the car they got, so they got to get them something to show off. It's not so much as the need. Now, there are some people that have needs, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of people that don't buy for the need, they buy for the show. You know what I'm saying? That's good. That's really good. Apostle Ruby, what you got?
I'm grateful for this forum tonight because it was very educational, very informative, and I am walking away with some wisdom, even the more, and I am ready to be a part of educating and learning how to manage our resources as we pool our resources together and help our Black and brown people to be the lenders and not the borrowers.
Amen. Amen. Believe it or not, that's one of the reasons why the Most High has actually placed prophets in the marketplace, because he knows, which of course he knows all things. He knows that we will need those resources in order to propagate the message of the kingdom. And there's going to be some proper people, but of course there's going to be some bad people too. So never underestimate an individual, because I'm telling you, you're going to need them in the end. The financial part, the economic part is so cool. The management part of the finances is the other piece that's needed to do what needs to be done. We're going to be talking about this all week long, people. I'm going to find a way to talk about this all week long. And I want to get as many people involved as I can. Like Apostle Shockley was saying, people reject this kind of talk, but that's okay. That's the reason why we got these platforms, because somebody's going to get nosy and going to stick around and be like, oh, I want to know what they talked about. So they'll get involved. Don't worry, because black folk can't help it. They're too nosy. They're way too nosy. Especially the ones on social media. They're way too nosy. And I'm proposing that at the end of this week, I'm going to have some financial officers that are going to come, and we're going to do some programs, and they're going to actually talk. I've talked to some people that are investors in Black banks that actually have the key and can tell us some things. So I've already talked to them. They're going to be like our final piece to this entire thing. They're going to come and talk to us about the investments and what we should do, how we should do it, when to put money into certain things. I'm going to let them have the entire time that they need. It might be 2 to 3 hours. So I'm going to give you the heads up that it's going to take a minute. But I want these financial people to be able to come on and really show us where we've made some errors at, and hopefully teach us a little something. Now, I may not get a lot of church folk to jump to this, but there are going to be some people that's going to be really interested. And I know for a fact, just from nosy people alone, some of them are going to be really interested in it. So I think it sounds like an exciting week that we got planned. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you, Apostle Timothy Shockley. You're at work. I really appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm at work. I'm on patrol tonight, so I had to get in when I can.
That's all right. I appreciate you. I'm so glad that you think enough of me to come because you already know we're gonna have a hot talk. So,
Oh yeah, this is good, and then this conversation is very much needed, especially
yes.
amongst especially amongst the Black people. We need
Mhm.
this conversation. Matter of fact, we needed to keep going and need to go even deeper into it because
Mhm.
if we're not economically stable or financially
Mhm.
stable, you see, that's how we change things. We don't, the
Mhm.
marches is good. I love the marches. I love the protests. But if you really want to
Mhm.
hit hard, you got to hit them where the money's at.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Ask the NFL all about that because trust me,
exactly.
because when something go wrong with one of those major sports and people
Yeah,
do a boycott or whatever, oh, it smacks them.
yeah.
Trust me.
Oh
Trust me.
yeah, it do. It
Yeah.
do.
So I'm ready to get some things rolling myself, but we'll talk about that at another date because I mess around, be done got started again. So, boy, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight because this is a much needed discussion. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some people that are going to pick up on this conversation on YouTube later. So for those of you that's going to be watching the replay, know that we're going to continue this conversation.
Okay.
And go for it, Bishop. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
One, you mentioned sports.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, they shot the young man in Kenosha, and I couldn't get from up there before I came to Texas. Then
Okay.
you could tell America's racist because they still ain't hired Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's in the boycott, the NBA, I think they said Obama and somebody else talking to LeBron them and told them to stay in the bubble. They losing money. And so then with the George Floyd, they're pushing down statues and all the other stuff. But they still ain't gave that man a job. They put Tebow, they want to make Tebow, he got on down there.
Yeah.
But ended, his career is over. Just like with the brothers down there with the black fence and Floyd stepped out. You wasn't racist. Only one racist. Give the man a job.
Yeah.
Quarterback.
Well, you know what that's all about. You know that Tebow thing is a white privilege thing, and he wasn't no good when he was playing. All of a sudden, 6 years later, they give him a job, and then Kaepernick still don't have a job, and so that says a lot right there in itself. And that's one of the reasons why I don't support the NFL and anything that they do because I don't care how much they try to say Black Lives Matter. If Black Lives Matter so much, then give Colin Kaepernick his job back. So.
And then the guy in Houston now accusations from the women until he was ready to try to leave the team after they gave him all the money. I want to leave, and all these people come out the woodwork.
Right.
If we take a stand and try to do something, you come out the woodwork. Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, they get your stuff out. Then all of a sudden, where all this stuff come from? So the man, he screwed up. He did all this, and they get.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not even gonna go there with you because we done got into a whole nother topic. But we probably gonna start with this topic tomorrow because a lot of people don't realize the effect of what sports and entertainment has on the Black community and the reason and the way that our white counterparts look at us because to them we're a cash cow. But anyway, I'm gonna get on up out of here. But go ahead.
They let one bootleg Negro preach at TD Jakes down here in Dallas. He do all this stuff. Making movies and all that. They let one. We supposed to watch one. Oprah and the rest of the supposed to watch.
No, you did. You didn't say the bootleg.
The bootleg and the Masonic order. You got the 9 families to the bootleg. All the fraternity, they hook to the 9 families that run stuff. But that's because
we're gonna get into all of that this week because this week we're gonna uncover all of that stuff and we're gonna hopefully help some people that have been blind to this stuff and we're gonna try to bring it to the forefront.
I was telling the wife.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's quite a bit, and we're just going to thank everybody for being here. We want to thank your wife, that prophetess in waiting, Bishop.
Apostle
Mhm.
Apostle Ruby Red, Apostle Timothy Shackley married us, see. And I didn't
Oh,
know
okay.
I didn't know she knew Apostle Keeper.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Back then, I'm telling you.
That's right. She's been following the ministry for quite some time, and she's been a very effective person as far as praying for the well-being and the welfare as far as my progression. And I really appreciate her so much because I don't never reveal the sources of the intercessors because Apostle Ruby Red stayed hidden for a long time before people publicly knew that she was one of the main people that kept me up. And the same thing with your wife, Bishop. She's one of those people that pray for me and continues to pray for me. So I just really appreciate the love and the understanding and the assignment. Hallelujah. Glory to the name. That's it. Okay, I'm getting out of here. Y'all be blessed. We're going to have this conversation again tomorrow. I'll send out the text and let you guys know what time we coming on. Other than that, I want to thank everybody for being here. Everybody on YouTube, thank you for listening. You're going to hear more this week. You thought this was something. You ain't heard nothing because we got a lot more to talk about. Apostle Ruby Red, I love you, girl. Love you, girl.
Bless you, Apostle. Have a great night. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, everybody. Y'all have a great night. Shalom, everybody.
Great night to the panel as well. Good night. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.